Indonesians go to the polls on 14th February, and the East Java province has been touted as a key battleground. It's the second most populous province in the country, and all three pairs of candidates are going all out to win the hearts and minds of some 31 million voters. And Islamic boarding schools or pesantren play a significant role in determining the outcome of elections in East Java. This is the iconic landscape of East Java province. The steaming crater of Mount Bromo is a sign of volcanic activity and heat from deep underground. Elsewhere in the province, there's a different kind of heat. The political temperature is rising as polling day draws near on 14th February. The province of East Java is a barometer for Indonesian politics. Presidential candidates who secured the most votes in East Java went on to become president since a direct election began in 2004. In East Java, pesantren or Islamic boarding schools are an important component during election. Shamsul Effendi has 3 children and all of them are educated in pesantren. The 55-year-old said he has cut down his choice on a presidential candidate who can pay special attention to pesantren.
Pemimpin terbaik, mudah-mudahan dekat sama pesantren. Soalnya kalau tidak ada pesantren kayak modalnya itu kayak narkoba, kayak pil, barang itu kayak menyebar gitu loh. Jadi kalau ada pesantren itu insya Allah aman, adem.
There are more than 6,700 pesantren in East Java, and the majority of them are affiliated to Nahdlatul Ulama or NU, which is the largest Muslim organization in Indonesia. There are also over 320,000 students living and studying in Islamic boarding schools in East Java. Pesantren or Islamic boarding schools in Indonesia not only provide students with education, but they also teach them the importance of participating in the democratic process in the country. Students in pesantren, or better known as santri, who are already 17 years old and are eligible to vote in the upcoming presidential and legislative elections, are encouraged to make their choices in the ballot box on 14th February. Presidential candidate Ganjar Pranowo wants to get the NU votes, and that's why he has former coordinating minister for political, legal and security affairs Mahfud MD as his running mate. Mr. Mahfud is from Madura in East Java and he has connections with NU. He has visited various pesantren in East Java during the election campaign to lobby for support and has pledged incentives worth more than $250 million for Quranic teachers.
Pesantren ini ternyata punya kekhasan MLM, di mana level marketingnya modelnya adalah paternalistik. Jadi kalau kita pegang yang di atas, yang di bawah ikut. Contoh saja di pondok pesantren di Nurul Jadid, ketuanya itu sudah mendukung kami. Otomatis cabangnya itu ikut kita semuanya. Bayangkan di Nurul Jadid itu yang aktif santrinya memang hanya 13.000, tetapi alumninya 134.000.
Presidential candidate Anies Baswedan also has a wild card in his running mate Muhaimin Iskandar, who is from Jombang in East Java. Mr. Muhaimin is the chairman of the National Awakening Party or PKB, which is often regarded as the unofficial political arm of NU. Mr. Anies and Mr. Muhaimin have received the support of the Bustanul Ulum Krai Pesantren in Lumajang Regency in East Java. They have promised to provide equality in general and religious education.
Kita mulai dari partisipasi masyarakat yang ingin terlibat dalam partisipasi keberpihakan untuk pasangan Anies Muhaimin ya. Saya berkeliling dari satu titik ke titik yang lain, dari semua relawan yang berkeinginan untuk menguatkan barisannya masing-masing. Apalagi di Jawa Timur yang basisnya adalah salah satunya pesantren, yang basisnya adalah kami-kami yang Nahdlatul Ulama.
But not all pesantren are ready to give their endorsement easily. The Tebu Ireng Islamic boarding school in Jombang, East Java is a well-known pesantren in Indonesia built by Hashim Ashari, the founder of NU. Its current custodian said pesantren need to be careful when giving endorsements.
Kita tidak bisa bersikap begitu aja, langsung menunjukkan sikap itu kepada masyarakat, sehingga kemudian masyarakat mengikuti, sedangkan ini masih butuh proses nanti sampai pada saatnya itu. Kita amati dulu, nah kemudian bagaimana perkembangan selanjutnya, baru kita menyampaikan sikap kita. Kita akan lihat sampai saat-saat terakhir.
Recent surveys showed that presidential candidate Prabowo Subianto and his running mate Gibran Rakabuming Raka, who is President Joko Widodo's eldest son, are leading the race in East Java. In January, their electability received a boost when East Java Governor Kofifa Indar Parawansa, who is also the head of End-Use Women Organization, declared her support for them. Mr. Prabowo and Mr. Gibran, or candidate pair number 2, are also backed by Projo, a large network of volunteers loyal to Mr. Widodo.
Saya yakin mayoritas ulama besar dan pesantren di Jawa Timur akan mendukung pasangan 02 ini. Karena salah satu program dari Pak Prabowo dan Mas Gibran ini adalah memperjuangkan dana abadi bagi seluruh pondok pesantren di seluruh Indonesia. Ini adalah suatu perhatian khusus bagi santri sehingga mereka juga dapat disetarakan dengan sekolah-sekolah negeri maupun swasta yang ada di kota-kota besar.
Mr. Widodo fought and won 2 bitter presidential elections against Mr. Prabowo in 2014 and 2019. He's constitutionally barred from contesting for a 3rd term but has appeared to back Mr. Prabowo. Analysts said both men have built substantial political capital in East Java and thus contributed to Mr. Prabowo's high electability in the province.
Pertama, bahwa Pak Prabowo sudah hadir sejak 10 tahun yang lalu ketika kompetisi pertama dengan Pak Jokowi, dan kedua, investasi hubungannya dengan para kiai sudah cukup tinggi. Tahun ini ketika Prabowo bergabung dengan Pak Jokowi, itu yang membuat kenapa dominasi pengaruh mereka cukup besar pada kekuatan nomor 2 itu.
Nahdlatul Ulama, with an estimated membership of 45 million in Indonesia, has the largest supporter base in East Java. All 3 presidential candidates are sparing no effort to reach out to NU members through institutions like pesantren because they could be the swing factor in deciding who will be Indonesia's next president.
Indonesia's young voters make up 52% of the country's nearly 205 million voting population. They will determine who wins in the upcoming presidential and legislative elections. Candidates know that they are not only an important vote bank to tap, but their choices also could influence the nation's future leadership.
Nurul Azmi Anissa Putri and Alia Putri Maharani will be casting their votes for the very first time. Both turned 18 last December, and the minimum age threshold for voting in Indonesia is 17.
Tahun kemarin cuma bisa ngeliat-liat aja, tapi sekarang aku bisa ikutan. Ya, menjadi omongan di kelas. Mungkin karena teman-teman aku juga baru pertama kali buat ikut pemilu, jadi kayak pada excited gitu, kayak pada milih, kalian tuh pada milih yang mana gitu.
They will join the more than 106 million young voters aged between 17 and 40 who make up the majority of this year's voter registration. And half of them are first-time voters.
Karena pertama kali jadi kayak deg-degan juga gitu. Kayak nanti gimana prosedur nyoblosnya gitu.
With no prior voting experience and a minimal ideological base, young voters are clearly part of the swing voters, and candidates have gone all out to win their hearts and minds.
Usulannya mungkin menurut baik karena
Desak Anis, which means challenge Anis, is former education minister and Jakarta governor Anies Baswedan's choice of strategy. It is a forum through which he has engaged with the country's youth in dialogue, and anyone attending is free to challenge him with hard-hitting questions.
Perizinan, kemudian permodalan, akses pada pasar.
Breaking out into viral dance moves is Prabowo Subianto. Gemoy is a pun on the Indonesian slang word gemas, used by youngsters to mean cute or adorable. It is a word that has become synonymous with him in the course of the presidential elections. It attempts to soften the image of the defense minister and former general, from that of an authoritative figure to one likened to a grandfather who has endeared the masses. There are hopes that his running mate, Gibran Rakabuming Raka, who is the youngest VP candidate at the age of 36, is able to resonate with and draw in young voters. The two are also depicted as cuddly cartoon figures. Meanwhile, a 23-second TikTok clip shows Ganjar Pranowo and his supporters all dressed in black, lifting their arms up and making the three-finger salute featured in the US film The Hunger Games. The former Central Java governor has a strong and popular TikTok presence, with appearances on variety TV shows and dialogue with the youth. Industry observers say the demographic is not skewed towards anyone, although winning votes from the group is key to victory.
I think it is understandable. Number one is because young voters are the deciding factors, and it is shown by the fact that every candidate is trying to make every effort to attract young voters, through issues that are considered related to young voters, or by putting young figures in their own team, directly or indirectly.
The Indonesian National Youth Committee, the largest youth organization in the country, says the youth of today need a platform for their creativity.
Dengan harapan besar nanti ke depan pemimpin ini bisa memberikan ruang-ruang kerja untuk anak muda lebih besar lagi. Dan selanjutnya yaitu ruang untuk mendapatkan pendidikan. Bagaimana peluang untuk mendapatkan pendidikan bukan hanya pendidikan sampai 12 tahun, tapi mereka bisa sarjana. Nah itu menurutku membuat mereka akan jauh lebih simpati.
Others say they need to see executable action for the youth or risk alienating them.
Saya pikir jangan hanya gimmick saja bahwa semua kandidat presiden atau wakil presiden hanya mengatakan bahwa kita akan melibatkan anak muda. Yang saya khawatirkan satu, ketika narasi-narasi bahwa pelibatan generasi muda itu sangat masif, ternyata pada hari penentuan untuk pemilu itu nggak ada juga anak muda yang hadir untuk menggunakan hak konstitusinya.
Jobs, funding for startups, education, and free internet. These are just some of the programs that presidential and vice presidential candidates have outlined for young voters. Surveys have shown that the youth also worry about the economy, and observers say that Indonesia's young generation must prepare to become agents of change to support national development over the next 5 years.
Indonesia is home to some of the world's largest users of social media, and digital technology has played a vital role in empowering political participation and shaping the country's political landscape. Well, with a lot of fake news in the Indonesian polls within the social media space, election in this digital age is vulnerable to manipulation, and that could potentially hurt the future of democracy.
The rapid rise of internet use has reshaped the dynamics of democratic life in Indonesia. Research studies by Jakarta-based think tank CSIS show that social media significantly influences political preferences, especially among voters under 40 years old, which are the majority of the total eligible voters. Over the past decade, social media have enabled the public to gain knowledge of the complex world of politics. It's made it possible for non-elite politicians, such as President Jokowi to rise to power. But it has also presented many challenges. Since the 2012 election, the cyberspace realms have been flooded with misleading narratives, either positive campaigning, which inflates the image of a particular candidate, or negative one that discredits others. That gave rise to the so-called political buzzers profession.
The work of the buzzers has first been visible 10 years ago in the previous 2 election cycles. And of course, there has been a changing pattern, changed model of recruitment, employment, changing media preferences. I think that is the recurring pattern from the previous 2 election cycles that is yet again visible in this election.
Bad actors use tactics such as divisive issues like religion and race. Experts fear that this could erode social trust and cohesion. But the buzzer trend is on its way up, and some academics see it as a new form of entrepreneurship.
Fake news entrepreneurs, there are more of them. In the 2019, they were hired by organizations that support politicians, but now they know that they can make money from it, and then they make their own businesses.
Lawmakers and authorities are walking a tightrope to rein in disinformation without infringing on the freedom of expression.
In handling this, let's say, misinformation, hoaxes, we have our SOP. So if you are producing the content, hoax content, if this is when we are evaluate, this is mild, and then we just stamp hoaxes. But if it need to be taken down, then we ask the platform to take down. But there is bad intention in producing the content. We handle this to the police because they are really bad intention to create the problem. So we want the police to handle this. Education is more important. Putting the stamp of hoaxes and give the fact is to educate people so they can learn and how to filtering the information.
All the 3 presidential pairs get their fair share of smear campaigns and disinformation attacks, including those involving AI technology and deep fakes.
Ya, kami sekarang juga mendapat serangan-serangan itu. Terakhir kemarin adalah rekaman suara telepon antara Pak Surya Paloh dan Pak Anies menggunakan AI ya. Padahal itu jelas-jelas oleh orang paham dengan media sosial tahu itu adalah hoax.
Kalau misalnya itu ada yang menyerang dan sebagainya, kita perlu klarifikasi, dan tentunya dengan kanal-kanal digital sekarang sangat mencerahkan dan bisa mengedukasi publik. Dan saya lihat dengan berbagai kanal yang ada kita bisa memaksimalkan dan mengedukasi kepada masyarakat untuk bisa mencari informasi lebih. Dan saya lihat masyarakat cukup pintar, sangat digital, dan kita lihat bahwa optimisme itu ada.
Saat ini kita nggak bisa pungkiri ya, ada bot, kemudian juga ada akun-akun palsu, ada akun-akun yang memang tidak bertanggung jawab yang ada di sosial media itu. Kita harus pintar juga menjadi masyarakat, juga harus lebih aware dan melihat apakah memang benar akunnya, apakah memang ini situsnya resmi begitu. Jadi carilah berita-berita yang memang di situs resmi dan tervalidasi dengan baik.
Emang boleh.
In helping to safeguard the Indonesian election's integrity, social media firm TikTok disallows political ads. It also uses a combo of technology and personnel to moderate content and direct its users to credible web sources for all election-related searches. Google takes the extra step of actively working with a global network of independent fact-checkers.
So we want to address information through research. It has never been done before because, building the body of knowledge is a necessary step to understanding how misinformation, disinformation spreads in the first place. What will be the intentions, what actors are involved. So we want to build kind of like the knowledge base first.
Internet users admit that weeding out what's real and what's fake on social media platforms can be tricky, especially in the modern era of freedom of expression.
I mean, at the end of the day, just restrain yourself in spreading the negative or the hate campaign, and do not get yourself triggered too easy, in a sense. But just look into what is the real agenda behind. So, I mean, every candidate has their own plans, right? So, whichever of those plans suits you better. But then again, this is among my personal experience. I will never elect or choose anyone that conducting black campaign or putting bad words towards others.
Digital literacy will take time to build, but the clock is now ticking and a lot is at stake for the general election on the 14th of February. Despite all the hurdles, there are grounds for hope that the country can be a case study of harnessing the power of social media while safeguarding the integrity and quality of its democratic process.
Because we're aiming into the golden Indonesia 2045, yeah? So we need to be able to spread more love instead of hate. If we can hold hands, Sabang to Merauke, be united. Indonesia is a very strong country, and we need to stand as one.
With information distortion in the digital world running at full throttle, the key to stopping the spread of disinformation lies at the fingertips of internet citizens. As a dominant force in this round of election, the fate of the country's democracy may depend on these young, tech-savvy Indonesians.